UFC bantamweight prospect Kevin Natividad. Kevin, thank you so much for the time, man. You just told me before we got on camera that you got out of practice. What does practice look like today?
Today was a lot of today was actually a lot of grappling, a lot of jiu-jitsu. It was a great day. I guess everybody kind of forgets that I originally started as a jiu-jitsu guy, so we try not to let, we don't let that get rusty. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, jiu-jitsu with the gloves and using the fence and everything like that, and then like a lot of ground and pound, sending up our shots. It's a lot, a lot of that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
definitely, definitely. Now, you mentioned the cage, the fence, man. How important is it to train that? Because, this weekend we got Habib, probably the greatest wrestler that is, against the fence. You know what I mean? Out in the open, I don't know if he's the greatest, but against the fence, man, he's phenomenal.
Yes. So, from my personal experience, I mean, like back when I was an amateur, I went into a fight and like my amateur record was like 13-1. I only had one loss, and my only loss was because I didn't use the fence. You know what I mean? I didn't train using the fence. Like leading up to that loss, we never had any cage wrestling, no nothing, and I didn't realize how important it was until I got stuck there. So to me, cage wrestling is huge. Like it's a different form of grappling that like I feel like a lot of people underestimate. A lot of things like our coach likes to almost say it can either be like a wall for you where you get stuck, or it could be used as your third leg, if that makes sense. It kind of helps balance, or it'll keep you there, either one.
Yeah.
But it's so important.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's something that I don't think a lot of people, a lot of people like to dig into the striking and the submissions, but they don't talk about that, that wall, man. That's a dangerous place.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not the most fun to watch
Yeah.
because just one guy stuck against the wall and you're just punch him in the face. It doesn't look exciting, but I mean, Khabib makes it look exciting
Mhm.
because he punishes guys there. But yeah, it's definitely under under talked about. I don't know how else to say that. It's uh overlooked. It's definitely overlooked.
Well, I'm glad you're not overlooking it, man, because I think the next generation of fighters, they need to have everything, especially that aspect. Now, let's go back to when you originally got called, man, in early December. You go through fight week, you make weight, you didn't fight though. What kind of roller coaster was that like, man? It must have been insane.
Dude, it was pretty crazy. I mean, so for the whole story, I found out about the fight on that Sunday. I rushed to get all my medicals done on Monday, and then we flew out and landed on Tuesday. I went through all the UFC, like I met everybody. We did like a bunch of the. Actually, as soon as we got there, we flew to the hotel, or we flew to the airport, and then we drove to the hotel. From there, we took our COVID test, and I was stuck in the hotel for 2 days. 2 days because I had a false positive COVID result. I didn't think it was possible because my brother and both my coaches that were there, they were negative. And my brother, like he's my roommate and my main training partner. So I was like, how is he negative and I'm still positive? So the UFC was able to give us another retest. We did a retest, inconclusive, and then negative, negative. So I took 4 tests total, and they were all negative. After that, I did all the UFC stuff, the media, the pictures. I weighed in even, was ready to go. I stared my opponent down in the face. I even had a video on Dana White's page. It was awesome. I was ready to go. And then the commission decided to err on the side of caution and say that just to be safe, you're not going to fight. The UFC already prepared to back up. And I was pretty crushed, to be honest. Like I didn't realize. Like I was sitting on my bed, happy, ready to go. I was playing this game called Hyon on my PC, and they called. Like my coach walks into the room, and he tells me what's going on, and next thing you know, I'm on the floor. I didn't realize I was on the floor until my coach was like, come on, man, Kev's on the floor. At least talk to somebody. And I was, oh yeah, I am on the floor. I'm really bummed out. And then Yeah, I waited until that. I waited that whole night up until the day of the fight, and I went downstairs the day of the fight, and they told me, yeah, you're not gonna fight. There's no, you can leave if you want. It was pretty depressing.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess you could look at it like this. You've been through that, so pretty much you could go through anything now, whatever comes in the future.
Yes, that's the best part about it is that like I guess like we want to say everything happens for a reason, right? Like I was super nervous that whole time, you know. I mean, obviously the COVID results were more nerve-wracking than anything, but I felt the jitters going into like even before flying out, and then I felt the jitters before we even got to the weigh-ins and stuff. But as of right now, I know I'm gonna this week. It doesn't give me jitters. It's like, oh, I've done that already. And then by by the weigh-ins, I'm hoping to feel the same too. Like I'm not nervous. It's crazy. It just feels like another fight to me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, finally, we're gonna. In fact, I'm even more motivated now.
Heading into this fight coming up, you have some time to prepare. And did you have any discussions of actually rebooking that fight with Brian Killer?
Um, so I tried. I tried telling them, but it was the only reason why we got that fight, I guess, was because they needed a short notice replacement. I'm a debut guy, and I guess he's pretty up there already. I mean, that was his fourth fight this year or something, and knowing his name and whatnot, and a lot of people think he should fight ranked guys at this point, and I mean, somewhere down the line, I'd love to run it back with him, like
Mhm.
just because I was super excited because I know he was a tough fight, he's got a good ground game. He has solid stand up. Not that the guy I'm fighting right now isn't good, but he's been in there like tested, you know what I mean, proven and tested. This will be my guy's like the guy I'm fighting right now's third fight, I think. Man, I'm excited for this one too. But yeah, we gonna get that one rebooked.
What have your preparations been like this year? Any adjustments due to the COVID restrictions with training?
So for this whole year kind of thing, uh, it's crazy. Like when Arizona first shut down, like we had nowhere to train at first except for our garage. Luckily, me and my brother lived together, and my fiance too. So me, my brother, and my fiance. Um, my brother obviously is a professional. He fights for the LFA. My fiance is actually a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and we were all able to get stuff set up in our garage. So for like a week and a half, we were like training pretty hard in the garage. A lot of boxing, a lot of like jiu-jitsu. Like we set up some mats here and there, and a lot of mitt work too. But once fights started coming back up, we were able to go back into the gym, and once everything else started opening up, we basically just train when nobody's there, and then once the other classes start opening, like we have like classes for everybody, we leave before everybody comes in. Like right now, classes just started. It's 5:40 right now. We have a kickboxing and a jiu-jitsu class that starts at 5, but we were already training at 3 o'clock, and we just finished right before 5. And same thing, like earlier in the day, we trained at like 9. A lot of like conditioning and like some technical pad work. So we just do everything when nobody else is there.
That's not bad though. I mean, it doesn't seem like it hasn't hindered you too much.
No, no. In fact, honestly, it's kind of better. Like for me, like I mean, not that it isn't fun training with everybody else, like especially the jiu-jitsu class, but it's a lot more specific right now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I'm able to. I love taking the classes. I love being a student in it, but like when everything is focused around you, I feel like it's a different way to grow. You know?
Miles John, another LFA veteran, has he been on the radar for some time?
He at least for me, we I was mentioned his name was mentioned to me like 2 years ago, for an LFA fight in Texas. Um, Honestly, I don't know what happened to it. I know we were supposed to, or at least I know I accepted to fight him, but I don't know if my manager at the time, or probably not him, but either my coach or his coach or manager said no to it, but it didn't go through. And I already looked him up a little bit at the time, not a whole lot. And to be honest, I didn't realize he was until the UFC until they told me I was gonna fight him. I was like, oh shoot, he's in the UFC. And then I saw I fought another guy from Arizona. So yeah, I mean, we were ready. We were ready for this matchup for a while. Like I have a feeling he's gonna come in pretty hard, uh, like heavy strike, like heavy hands, and try to set up that takedown, make me overcommit my punches and set up my takedowns and stuff. So I got a couple things here and there that we've been practicing for that. My brother is we not just my brother, but we got a lot of like pretty high level wrestlers at our camp. Not just wrestlers too, but they're all like pretty high level jiu-jitsu guys too. So I feel like pretty good for this one. We got some guys who were getting ready for the 2020 Olympics for boxing too. So it's probably my toughest, but the most confident I've been going into a camp, going into a fight.
You have one blemish on your pro career. It's in 2017. You know, what did that fight do for you? Did it change you? Did it change your approach, or did it not really affect your outlook?
It honestly changed a lot, you know. Uh, that fight, I got knocked down in like 9 seconds or something like that. But the whole reasoning behind that was because I took fights too emotional. You know what I mean? Like I almost forced it. Like I made myself like, okay, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight, and then by the time I went out there, I was just like trying to release the inner Hawaiian in me, you know, and just try to get the guy to scrap. But the guy has heavy hands, so that was a mistake on my part. Plus, I walked in there with my head, like in that 9 seconds. It might seem like a short amount of time, but we learned so much in just that. Like in the back room, my emotions in check, me going in without fading, setting things up with no head movement at all either. So to basically sum it up, we learned a lot. It changed my outlook, and I think it made me just a smarter fighter in general. Um, yeah, basically that. I mean, it's it was embarrassing at the time, but it was probably one of the better things that's happened to me as far as like help me grow in my career. You know, humbling, but definitely needed.
Definitely, because since then you've reeled off five in a row with some incredible finishes. I guess the fight IQ is something that has been elevated, right, since that fight.
Yes, it has been for sure. It's I mean, I've always been a little bit more like I like to play the the technical chess game of that. That's what I love the most about fighting. Before that, I just loved getting in there to scrap, but then I fell in love with the technical aspect. And after that, I realized, especially to get to the highest level, it's not just about getting in there and scrapping, you know what I mean? And not just like the one or two tricks here and there. It's like, I mean, there is the one or two tricks here and there, but how can you use them and when can you use them, you know? So it's definitely elevated the fight IQ for sure.
How do you envision your UFC debut playing out? How do you see yourself getting your first win in the octagon?
To be honest, like it's funny. Like I see myself. I've had so many knockouts this past you know my whole professional career, and for some reason, I can envision a knockout, but I can also envision some spectacular submission that I haven't busted out since my amateur days.
Mhm.
Uh, either one, you know, as like either one, as long as it gets us 50 G's. I just think it's going to be the fight of my life. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's what I'm expecting. Every fight in the UFC that I'm going to have is going to be the fight of my life. So I'm expecting a spectacular victory in terms of my ground game, actually. I don't know. Nobody thinks I'm a ground guy for some reason. Like, I see everybody talking about it. Like, oh, he's like strikers, Kevin Natividad, and I'm just like striker. I look at my coach. I'm just like, hey, coach, look, I'm a striker now. It's just like you're always a striker. I'm just like, I mean, I guess so.
I think they just look at the record and they don't really
Hmm.
go deeper into like what you've been through in the past, you know what I mean, and the where you have trained and what you have trained. They just look at the knockout, knockout, knockout. Oh, okay, this guy's a striker.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is too. I mean, if you look back, especially, man, I keep bringing up my amateur record, but like, I bring up my amateur record because like I felt like I fought anyone that the guys in Hawaii gave me. Um, I had like I don't know, and most of them were by submission, and I used nothing but my ground game back then, and I haven't forgotten about it. that, that's why I think it's just so funny. I mean, yeah, I mean, I understand, like, especially training at Arizona Combat Sports. I know over here at ACS, they turn a lot of grapplers into strikers, you know, and not in like a bad way where they end up being one dimensional, but it, the, our coaches at the gym really definitely teach us how to strike.
No doubt, man. You always have to have something in the back pocket that people don't want. People are underestimating in some ways, but you know it's all good, man. You're making your UFC debut October 31st, UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas, fight capital of the world. Thank you, Kevin, man, for the time. All the best, man, and everything in the future.
Thank you, man. Stay safe out there, and you know, this is fun. This is fun. Thank you so much.
Pick a move in the ring. You got hit.